So,
well,
hello.
disappointing.
Agreed. Hello, welcome to the Age of Sigmar Monday show. Some will say the biggest and best live broadcast on the internet. Others would also agree. It's me and your
Others don't get a different opinion. This is a totalitarian pro Warhammer stream, and anyone with differing views is thrown from the gates of Azir to fall all the way to the 8 points and live in the Warcry mushes.
While I'm really interested narratively in the Gates of Azir, and I'm really looking forward to the campaign book coming up in summer, we'll talk about that in a minute. I now am obsessed with all of the you know how Seraphon live on the spaceships. There's the two versions. There's the Starborn on the spaceships and the other guys on the ground.
On the ground, yeah.
But the spaceship ones, I now only picture as being the underwater empire from Naboo with the Gungans. like that's what it looks like inside. That's what it looks like inside.
Rad boss nass level stuff. Dig it.
Yeah, just like sure. A Musicast Comet's call.
Yeah. It was a real shame. It was a real shame that people hated Jar Jar so much, because truly that battle between
who did that?
Oh, people didn't like him. Personally, I saw it when I was younger. I loved it. However, that battle between the Gungans and the battle droids, that was one of the coolest battles Star Wars has ever done, because everywhere else it's like dudes with guns and ships and all that. And here what do they have? Grenades. What's their weapon? Grenades. Every single one of them armed with just belts and belts of grenades. Don't tell me that the guns didn't rock up with mad action star energy.
That's what I like about Star Wars, because it really normalized how incredibly fun and friendly war is. Like, they really made me feel like I could, to some hijinks music, have a slapdash good time with my pals murdering people. I was like, that's what war is. Friendly. Sometimes funny, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a large faceless CGI enemy that you don't have to feel bad about killing. Like, that's war. That's what it is. War doesn't mean people or emotions, unless you're playing elves, in which case it does, and it's really satisfying to watch the lights go out on their bastard knife-eared faces.
All right, well,
or if you're playing someone from New Zealand, then it's also good.
Also them. I like that you've declared war on New Zealand. That's great. Right, so hello everyone in the chat. Obviously, we're recording this live on the internet, on Twitch. Me and Dan today. Now, our normal AOS Monday show trio, me, Nathan, and Dan, we are back. We've taken a couple of weeks off, so I just want to let everyone know why. Obviously, I had a couple of major events. I was at Warhammer Fest and some other stuff, and then also following on from that, also I had all of the AOS World stuff to drop, which was a prodigious volume of work over a couple of weeks. And we have covered and reviewed every single battle tome. We've done every news story about Age of Sigmar, so we haven't missed a beat. So we're up to date. It's not like we missed out on anything, which is kind of important. But I do realise we weren't here for a couple of weeks. So to all of the fans out there, the rabid podcast listeners, and all the fans on YouTube, I apologise. But we're back. We'll be here this week, and we'll be here next week. Where we may introduce our new co-host, but that's to be confirmed. And then we'll be at Worlds
It's
again.
not another puppet. It's not another puppet.
It's three puppets.
It's three puppets. Yeah. It's three puppets. Three whole puppets. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be back for 1 week next week, this week and next week, and then obviously we've got the Age of Sigmar World Team Championships, which is what me and Dan are going to talk about today, because with only 2 weeks in the tank, we have a lot of what we call pre-production. Dan is actually a media and TV professional. I am a media and TV shitposter. So between us...
Yeah, we have, it's like we summon a really disappointing Captain Planet. Like we each kind of like shoot a ring at something, and he comes out and he's just like, fuck, I'm so tired. And we're like, shut up and edit, you bastard. And he's like, okay. And he sits down in front of the computer. He doesn't save the world. He just cuts videos in Premiere Pro.
Thank you to Speckles for resubscribing. 65 months, what a superstar. So yeah, the Age of Sigmar Monday show, this is the important part to say, is that post-Worlds will be back with the raging Warhammer boner that you've known and loved for years, with the whole trio, and maybe either a regular new co-host or intermittent guests, one of those two to be decided.
Or three puppets.
I have tendered an offer to a co-host. but I'm waiting to. I know. We'll see. We'll see. So that's exciting. So we're back, and we will continue to be live at 7 p.m. UK time.
Are you going to do the same
Twitch.
thing you did to me, where at an event you inject them with poison and then only promise to send them the antidote bit by bit for every stream that they do?
Every week,
that's really made it difficult to kind of structure my life.
It's really difficult, I know, but I'm glad. So that's the state of the Monday show, and apologies for not being here. So what today's show is going to be about is, because like I said, we're up to date on all the news, I'm pretty certain, with the exception of a Warcry release, like who cares. We will be at Worlds, and Dan and me have both been doing, as you've seen, a bunch of hype train stuff and pre-production. So we're going to talk about a little bit about what we've done and what we're going to do in the immediate stuff, and also going to ask a lot of you what you would like to see from Worlds within reason or outside of reason. So if
outside of reason, Rob only wants within reason. I want outside. So just to kind of put it into perspective, in every kind of production that I've worked in, my job is usually to just throw mud at a wall until some of it sticks. And I've always had a production partner whose job it is to like ground shit in reality and be like, you can't have that, you can't do that, you can't have that. So me, from my side, give me the chaos. Like be like, what do you want? I want every time Beasts of Chaos are on stream for a goat to be commentating, and I'll be like, let's get a goat. And if Amsterdam's got anything, it's probably goats.
Why would it have goats? My favorite thing with this weekend is
because they are the goat. Because Amsterdam, like it's the goat. This event's gonna be rad.
Yeah, it is going to be really good, and hopefully we as a team, me and Dan will be doing the live commentary. We do have the rest of the team who'll be helping us in person as well, so and they'll be getting their shout-outs and time in the sun as we get towards it. But a lot of that pre-production stuff is stuff we're just going to talk about today, and then hopefully it gives you some insight into what that's like. Maybe that's not the most exciting Warhammer stuff, but I'll just throw in some quick ones now. Seraphon busted. Them Soulblight Gravelords, eh? Pretty good. There you go. I've covered all your topics for the next week, I reckon.
And also, them Soulblight Gravelords is like, it's heartbreaking to me that it's only this kind of the swarm that we're seeing do well as well.
No, they're all good.
They're all pretty good, but
they're all good. I don't know. Is there something that's bad? Maybe some bats are bad, but
bats aren't great.
But they fulfill their role of being bad, which is standing in the way. Like
but you know what Soulblight Gravelords is going to be great for?
Yeah.
Theme painted armies, because people are like, fuck, I need to paint up 140 zombies for this list. Oh, it's a black and white film noir theme. Yeah, that's what it is. Like, that's what we're going to see so much. Or like, what is it? It's ghosts. That's Nighthaunt. You're thinking Nighthaunt. No, ghost zombies. It's all ghost zombie. 140 ghost zombies. Okay, so you just sprayed them white and then painted them with that ghost color, and I gave them red eyes. You're like, yeah, okay, cool, fucking thanks a lot. Tell your story, walking, you dickhead.
Yeah, so Soulblight Gravelords, which I talked about on the stat show. So if you'd like to get into the nitty gritty of lists, there's already been a show recorded today. Like, you couldn't literally have more content about Age of Sigmar recorded today, and I've just finished editing an Army Masterclass video, and I'm really gutted, Dan, because I just did the playthrough to a couple of people so that they could watch it for mistakes. You know, the classic, and they both said to me, why isn't this called the OC Boom Reapers? And I'd already at this point done all the graphics, edited the video.
I hate that when someone gives you a good idea.
After.
You're like, I can't. Or here's the only thing you can do, right? Clip your mouth, like do a mask cut of your mouth, re-record yourself just going Boom Reapers. And every time you say Bone Reapers, just pause the video, so you're like, and then Bam Reapers, like plays it. That's the best you can do.
Yeah. So Boom Reapers. Right, okay, so Age of Sigmar Monday, staying strong, staying well, staying safe. They're more and bigger and better post-Worlds, I want you to know. And then apologies. As to now let's just jump into the main topic. Age of Sigmar news, we've pretty much covered. We've talked about the timeline already. Very excited about. I personally am very excited post-Worlds. We'll be getting towards a new GHB. We'll be getting towards these new campaign books. We'll be getting towards new Cities of Sigmar. So that's also really an exciting time. I'm excited for that. But I think it's everything. Dan, let's just catch up with you. How have you been? What have you been up to? Well, I know what you've been up to, but how you been?
I've been good. Some people might remember that about a year ago I broke my finger, and it turns out it didn't heal right.
Oh
So
no.
now I get they offered me. This is just personal. No, but the only reason this is related to hobby is it makes it very difficult to paint. Which is slowing me down, and it makes editing like slightly slower. So a lot of the videos I have, like I'm one of those wankers that uses every finger. I'm like a lobster. I don't know if that tracks. So it's really messed me up. So they gave me two options. They were like, either every week we put you in a slightly tighter cast until your finger is on fire but in the right position, or we give you a what they called a digit widget. And I was like, that sounds rad. Can I have a digit widget? And they're like, yeah, it's where we put we drill a couple of screws in and put like a thing that we tighten with a little like twisty thing. I was like, no, not rad. I don't want that. I don't want that in my finger. And they're like, yeah, okay, so we'll do the cast. I was like, yeah, we'll do the cast. So personally, that's where I am, because it's impeding my hobby, which hurts me very, very much. But as far as like the game goes, I'm in a happy place, and I'm gonna say something that I think is gonna upset you, Rob. It's probably going to upset a bit of the chat. Now, I want to start by saying I see where you come from. I completely understand, because I can see how easily it could go wrong.
Okay.
But in prep for Worlds, I realized, because we're playing all the missions, there are a number of them I haven't played.
Terrible decision.
Much experience at.
Dan, this is our opportunity to bitch about this for several hours. I can't wait.
So
yeah, but anyway, please continue.
So I played Twists and Turns.
You fucking idiot.
And I kind of loved it. Now
you're gonna like it because you're a psycho. You're like. There's two people in the world. There are people who want flaming sambucas, and other people who are like, no, I won't put fire in my mouth. And I already know that you're in the flaming sambuca camp.
Now, to be fair, I completely understand. I totally 100% understand that if you are running a competitive tournament and you're trying to be like, okay, we're going to get really specific scores and everything's going to be nailed, how much of a fucking mess it is. Because even the games I've played of it came down, like the last one I played, me and a good mate D, it came down, it was a great game, don't get me wrong. It came down to the last round, and he, in the last turn, if certain objectives turned off and on, he won. And if certain objectives turned off and on, I won. And it was that afterwards we kind of realized we're like, basically the way this game has worked is that we picked up objectives turn one, and then fucking forgot all about objectives. And each turn was just like, my objectives, a couple would turn off, his would turn on. And so he'd be like 6. So I've got 1, 2 more. And I was like, great. And so we didn't really bother taking objectives back or forward. It was just about what came on. So I agree. It is absolutely, for a tournament, a very, very unpleasant one to try and structure in there. But as a person playing it, I was like, fucking feed me this bullshit.
No.
Because I want to see the looks on people's faces. Everyone but Team Australia. I want to see the looks on their faces when they get fucked over by Twists and Turns.
I like that someone in the chat said that Twists and Turns is the digit widget of this GHB. I agree with that a lot. Like,
yeah,
if you're listening, you're not sure what we're referencing. HCMR World Team Championships is 2 teams of 8 playing, but there are 24 teams, obviously. And the captains decided foolishly, stupidly, moronically, just to be super clear, to include all of the missions, because what they want to do is to Dan. I've got a theory. Oh, sorry, I'll finish the thought and I'll come back to this. What you want to happen? What happens is they're going to play 4 missions across the 8 pairings in a team match. That's what they're going to do. And the reason that so that's what they voted for, and they voted for it as well, and it was a fairly popular vote. I do have a theory on this though, Dan. Right, I do have a theory on this, and I'll just go with me on this. I feel like this is kind of like flotsam, right? Like, this is the situation. You get a team of 8 or 9 people together, however big your roster is, your local community, and you're like, right, okay, let's divide up responsibilities. Someone do the Twitter sass, no problem, off you go, and then one of you, you or a couple of you, you need to be the people responsible for looking through every single list, making an opinion on it, getting a Google spreadsheet out, yeah, and then or an Excel one, whatever. No brand loyalty here, yeah. Making yourself a matrix, several matrices, yeah, and then organizing those pairings, yeah. Now, Dan, like, be honest. Would you, if we're in a room, you volunteering for that? Because I don't think Flaming Sambuca guy, I don't think Digit Widget man. Yeah.
No, fuck no. No, no. I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I want a deck of cards with each person's face on it. I'm just going to put them down blind. Like that's what I do if I know that that's in there.
Because the only sorts of people who will volunteer for it are the people who want to do it. And then the people who want to do it are super excited to do the pairings. Whereas I've seen the pairings. Everyone else in the team doesn't give a fuck. They're just like, just tag me in, boss. Yeah, just slap my ass and get me to a table, right? I'm ready. Yeah.
Yeah, but that poor captain.
Yeah, so no wonder they all voted for it, because they wanted to feel important. Just randomize it on a table. Do you know what I mean? Just pull a lottery machine.
But you know what I think is going to be here's my other deep dive idea, right? Is that obviously we have actually just to jump back super quickly in the chat, someone said that in the world's kind of country stinger videos, I'm not going hard enough at people, like I'm not embracing my Aussie ability to abuse foreigners, which I completely understand. That is a skill that we have, and I do just want to apologize and say what you need to remember is I'm going to be in a foreign country with 240 of these people. Over in Amsterdam, and I could be made to disappear very easily. So I can't go too hard. However, I do think for when I do post the US one, I probably need to get some kind of amnesty agreement from them, because I'm worried about that.
Nah, they're a vibe. They're a vibe.
But it's just their country in general. But the thing is with the missions, right? If you're going to Worlds, there's the haves and the have-nots as far as people who had access to the battle plans, to the armies. They've got more experience now. And I'm talking specifically about kind of like Great Britain. You've got way more events, way more play, way more tournament stuff there than most other nations. But you're all pretty much using the same battle plans the whole time. So the great leveler is the shitty competitive battle plans that nobody uses, because we're all entering that field equally. And so maybe that's where the captains are like, this is our opportunity. We can balance the stats.
Yes, maybe, but I think really what it is they want to feel important. Like is the key part. Either way. That's a thing anyway. So right, so let's talk about Worlds. So yeah, that's a vote. Just so, and as Dan alluded to, because all those battle plans are being played, that does mean that twists and turns, which is legitimately a terrible. Like, it's the other thing as well. Like, jokes aside, fun aside, it does mean that the one of the most uncompetitive like battle plans is being played twice to decide the world champions, and I think that's a bit lame. Like, the TO not to blame for this, the captain's to blame squarely. Anyway, right, okay, so let's talk about production for World. So again, if anyone's listened to this and doesn't know, Age of Sigmar World Team Championships is 24 teams of 8 people. Each team's got 8 people. Some people have got like non-playing coaches, playing coaches, and they'll be playing to become the world champions in Amsterdam in 2 weeks' time. We'll be bringing you live coverage. Me, Dan, John, Mark, the whole team, Cabbage. We'll be bringing you as much content and good stuff as we can bring you over that week. So this is a conversation now about like what pre-production stuff we can do with a couple of weeks to go, and also what production stuff we've already done. So Dan, let's start us off with you. You've been making some hype videos. So you put a couple out online. Do you want to tell us about what the idea is behind that?
Well, in Eurovision and all of those great things, you get a run down of the countries. Like you gotta run through the countries. So I thought I would do that in a completely fair and unbiased way. Just a quick little intro to each of the nations playing, because like I think there are probably a lot of people out there who are psyched for it, but you got to think about the concept of 24 nations sending teams of 8 to 10 is massive. Like it's huge. That is our Eurovision, you know, like the difference is instead of sitting around seats all drinking and probably banging each other in the back rooms, they'll be sitting around in seats drinking. You know what? We don't need to get into specifics about what people are going to be doing in the back rooms in Amsterdam. We don't need to talk about that, but it's going to be completely unbiased. That's what I just want to say. Totally unbiased. And I have been copying a lot of flack about that, so I'll make sure I post Australia in the next couple of days. But we'll do a few hype videos there just for each country, just to kind of do it. And also, personally, I love the shit talking on Twitter. And I thought if I could just drop a couple of little matches into the kerosene of that is the fucking quagmire that is Twitter and get the teams going at each other, that I wanted to do that. And so that's what I really love, and that's why I want to feed them, just feed them a little sprinkling, little spritz of the fury.
So I was able to get. We haven't got Team Greece on Twitter yet, but we have been able to get Team Serbia on Twitter now. So Dan's been making short, engaging videos, describing how the teams did last year and making a couple of jokes at the team's expense, which is quite nice. I quite like that. That was quite fun. I think one of the things that the commissioner Jeremy said in some interviews I did yesterday, I'll tell you about that in a minute, and as well Tom, these are people who've been deeply committed to the Age of Sigmar and Warhammer hobby for years. Or Tom actually fairly new, but like still. And one of the things they've said is they want to develop like a really strong and healthy worldwide community. And I think a good bit of laughs online between us all makes it seem less scary. I do wonder to people out there who aren't on a national team, who are just, regular Warhammer people. Well, we're all regular Warhammer people. I do wonder if it makes it feel a little bit more welcoming. I'm hoping it makes it more welcoming, because one of the things that Dan, you and me obviously played Warhammer when the ETC was a thing. So let's go back in time a little bit. Did you ever find the ETC teams or the international teams in what used to be what's called the European Team Championship? I always found them like the Warhammer 40,000 World Team Championships happened last year. They had no coverage. There were no pictures. There was nothing about it that I saw online, or maybe I didn't engage with it enough, but I didn't see very much, and so it didn't feel very cohesive. Does that make sense? Whereas so like there's a opaque. It's difficult to understand what's happening. And I felt the same about ETC at the start. How did you feel?
Yeah, I think it felt like it was just another event that happened, but it generated all of its own panache. Like, it took itself incredibly seriously. Like, it was the tippity top, cream of the crop, never eat a pig because a pig is a cop. And it was just right up there. I don't know why that lyric is stuck in my head. But it was right up there. And I respected it. However, it just happened. It was like, what is it? It's an event. It happens somewhere. And then we talk about who won. And I'm like, oh, okay. But so it's not actually that engaging. Like, it's not for everyone, and it's just like for a bunch of people to talk about how good they are, how they're on the team, how they go off and do the thing. The thing I love about the way it is now is it's for everyone. It's like there are so many people who are like, I'm getting messages. I got a few messages from people after posting some of the videos that I've done so far. Like, everybody's messaging bits and pieces. And it's engaging because it's like people are getting behind their teams. It's like Eurovision. It's like the Olympics. People are supporting their team. And I think that's massive. Like, the fact that everyone can be behind their team, can follow along, can play. I know people who are preparing to do like club days on the weekend that it is and have the stream up so they can be watching it while they're playing it. I just think that's rad. Whereas the way it used to be was very insular, very isolated. And it was like, I don't think it was intentionally exclusive. Like, I think that if you wanted to get onto a team, like, there were processes to do it, but to experience the gameplay, it was very exclusive. It was like, you're either here and you get to be a part of it, otherwise you just get to hear about it on a message board later.
So I actually have some thoughts on this, and this kind of related to something that happened last year, or maybe LGT, the 40k LGT event happened, and they didn't stream it, or they streamed it badly. I can't remember which. And the organizer said that the people at home, or the people who weren't attending, were incredibly entitled. His words. Because he was like, how could you, like, he's like, it's not my responsibility to showcase my event. I mean, which is hilarious, but like as a marketing strategy, it's like, well, I'm not going to tell you about it. Like, just come. You're like, cool, bro, good story. But like, I could kind of understand, like, if you're busy building a team, putting a team together, and then taking them to an event, and then you're all paying money, you don't owe anyone anything else. Unless you say that you're representing a country. And then, guess what, dickheads? You do owe someone else. Because you just don't, like, you don't get to just decide that you're the team and then be like, because, like, imagine, like, pick a country. Imagine you're from any country and your team were just out there posting the most fucked up stuff and then going to an event and doing the most fucked up stuff. You'd be like, you can't just decide that you're those people.
You don't represent us. Yeah, like they just rock off and start cheating or something like that at an event. Yeah, like I agree. I also would say that for, like, I love War Dollies in every way, shape, and form. Like, all of it. If I could eat it, I would eat it. In fact, I made a cake and I ate that cake. So I have eaten. In fact, I have eaten War Dollies. I have eat it, slept it, breathed it, because I probably breathed in resin that will eventually kill me. I've drank so much paint water, and if I love the idea of it. I'm not saying that everything needs to be streamed, everything needs to be big, everything needs to be available at home, but when you have something like Worlds, what that means is this is big. Lots of teams, 240 people, 24 nations all coming, competing together for the crown. Huge. There's a stream that's going to get a huge amount of coverage and a huge amount of engagement. Now, if you're a team, maybe a local shop, business, something that wants to sponsor you, seeing that there is exposure. It's literally how sports start. It's how esports started. Everything. It's like you look at Games Done Quick, all of them. And I just think that that's kind of rad. And so the idea that people would want the glory of that, but still want to exclude people from being able to engage with it, with them, with their nation or whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to be super clear that this isn't directed towards anyone specifically. My point is that a national event, like, not that I'm in any way nationalistic, obviously, but a national event is to do with your nation's pride, and not, again, that I derive any pride from the achievements of others who just happen to be born somewhere close to me, but not too close, otherwise fuck those guys. But, like, so I'm never too stressed about that, but some people take that very importantly and very seriously, and eventually they are representing their country. So like, that's actually quite a big deal, and this is kind of going to be my follow-on, talking about the ETC and the brick wall that I feel like there was, and Bruce Oakman makes a good point that there were technological challenges back in those days. It's much easier to stream events now than it previously was. Although I reckon you could have done some stuff, but, well, it doesn't matter. The kind of takeaway for me is that these national teams are so busy organizing going to a national team, going to an event. This is my takeaway from this weekend, and we'll talk about this more. They haven't thought about, I don't want to say the PR, but they haven't thought about the engagement. A good example would be that not only do the people at home, like, do the teams owe the people at home something to see, importantly, those people are hype for those teams. Like, that's the bit, like, the kind of the missing source that I think is the disconnect, is you're so busy building a team, I assume, putting all the players together, making sure everyone's on time, they bought their tickets, they've done all that. They don't think about people who are not in that immediate vicinity, which is super fair. And so you making these little trailer videos is really fun, like, and then engaging, because then you're like, oh yeah, Sweden, what are they like? Like, I would love to see each one of the teams on their regular like roster. They should be like, these are our 8 people, this is our coach, and this is our media guy. Not the world's media guy, like us. our media guy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and again, love them loads, but not the French tour de phone video that I got on the interview the other day. It was great, but not that, right? I want to.
It is.
Do you know what I mean?
It is. It is one of those things where like I know for my work, a lot of the time when we have to do like say we've got big producers and executives and things like that. Not going to name names, not going to name companies or shows or anything like that, but they're coming on, right, for a thing. I often have to send them a little email, just being like, really politely being like, hey, I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but when you come onto this thing, you're going to want to be at a one static place. You're going to need like headphones and microphone, even just your AirPods or something like that, and so that we can hear you. Like, speakers bad, and then the amount of times I've been sitting in like Zoom meetings with 200 crew or whatever, and there's an executive producer on loudspeaker in their car, just going like, rah, 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 rah. Now this is the person that's paying us all, so no one's going to correct them, but everyone's just politely sitting there being like, we can't hear a word that you're saying. Like, it's just all you're hearing is like, and they're like, so it is difficult for people to think about.
But
That's why you're right though. Teams need a media person. Like, this is our media person.
Yeah, like, so it's kind of what I alluded to kind of this week, because the activity that we've seen online, and Dan's helping loads with that. So his videos. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. But like, like Dan's basically promoting all these people, but don't forget Dan's doing this in his free time for literally zero recompense. Like, there's nothing coming back to Dan, and so it isn't on Dan or us to promote the teams, but they're fun and engaging, and Dan, you're doing a brilliant job. Super great. It's on the teams to promote themselves, and also on them, they could get sponsors for themselves. Like, if they're out there being like, right now, I'm hyped to see Team Spain, yeah, because of their one media guy. I'm like, let's go.
Absolutely.
Like, let's go.
I need to pay. I'll post Spain shortly. I'll post it in the next day or so.
Yeah, like, so I'm excited for that. And then I'm even excited interviewing the captain and him being like, you actually won't like our media guy, he's boring. Right? But I think the important thing, I'm not ragging on the teams, I'm saying that the teams need this because I want insight into the teams. And I don't want insight in the teams to like make something off it. I'm excited. I'm a fan. If you show me like a video of the training hangout, like Spain again, put a picture up of insulting Sweden, being like, this is our team meetup. Like, we're ragging on Sweden. I'm like, this is cool. Show me more. Like, I just did the stat show earlier today. There was an event, or the Age of Sigmar community had an event in the Philippines this weekend. Yeah, it was only like 24 players or something. But they sent me pictures They sent me pictures and videos. It was inside of a shopping center. So like, not like in a shop though, Dan. Like in the walkway. They like.
You're kidding. That's wild.
It was awesome.
Hell
right?
yeah, Philippines.
Yeah. So it was super fun. But that's what, like, it got me so excited because I felt like I could see the people, and that's kind of what I want for Worlds. I want to meet everyone. I would watch a video produced by each one of the teams, even if it was for like,
sure.
Even for like a few minutes, because I think that's super worth it. So Dan, you're doing a great job of creating the spice, and I think definitely compared to last year, more of the teams are engaging as teams online.
Yeah.
Versus
which is great. Like, after that first, I think I posted Sweden first, and I made a joke about them taking out the rest of Europe's trash because the deep cut law there is that Sweden imports recycling from other nations because they're so good at it. And then I think it was a back and forth between them and Denmark about calling each other trash, and then being like, Denmark for someone produces the most trash in the world. Like, it was great, and I was like, ooh, get at it. So I'm all about it. I've also
okay. I got a bold suggestion. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So let's move on from democracy and go straight into some good old English conservative like fascism.
Views?
Why don't we like, we should speak to Tom Medgens. It should just be, you know how you have to submit your lists on time?
Yeah.
There should be like you have to submit a team video a month before, otherwise minus 10 points, you can't win the event, or whatever the fuck you need.
Yeah.
Like there should be something.
Otherwise, I do it, and I'm just gonna post a video of like goats just standing around going like, nah. What's this? And here we have Team Serbia, and it's just a bunch of goats being like, ah, ah.
Yeah, at least an intro video. And again, I would like to be really clear about this. I would like it because as a fan, I would like to get to know the teams more. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like very disconnected to the Greek team, even though, thankfully, I was at Warhammer Fest the other day and I got to meet several of them, so now I know them a bit better. But I just want to get to know them, and I think a load of people at home would like to get to know them. There's loads of people involved in the hobby who, for whatever reason, don't have the time. Jeremy, we did an interview with Jeremy on, and I'll talk about those in a minute, but I did an interview with Jeremy yesterday, and he said, of course, most of these times, it's not just only who can make it onto the team, it's the best player who can afford to go, not the best player, you know, and that's a fair thing to say. But anyway, like, I would be excited for that, and I'm really excited you're making the trash talking videos, Dan, because I'm hoping that makes more people engage. That's what I hope.
So I after these, so I'll post a couple of these a day for the next week or so, and then after these, the next one, because the other question I'm getting a lot is obviously, other than Australia and Canada, who's going to win? Because obviously Australia and Canada are going to win. They're going to tie in first place. That's how it ends. We all know that. That's just fine. But the rest of the field is completely open to interpretation. So what I'm going to do is so that everyone at home knows who to tip, is I'm going to take all of the round one pairings, and I'm going to resolve who's going to win. And we can guarantee it almost certainly. Like, we'll work out so that you know who to tip, and then maybe we'll run a tipping competition or something like that.
Well, so actually, so Dan, this is what I wanted to talk about. So the website will be able to, so there's three things happening at once, right? There's a website that's going to host the results called Pun Pun. Get me the Pun Pun. Do me the Pun Pun. Bring it to the Pun Pun. Bring it to the Pun Pun. Pun 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 pun. Yeah. Okay.
Please, someone out there does GarageBand. Please edit together a video that like a song that is the Pun Pun song, and I will jam out to it the whole time.
But I've never been a big sports guy, and I know that there's loads of stuff, like there's fantasy leagues, which I would quite like to run one of those. There are like pseudo betting, but no actual cash. But you know what I mean? Like things like that. There's a bunch of stuff that I would like to get organized. With only a couple of weeks down to the wire, if there's anyone out there who is like, well, I'm going to be really excited about it, Rob, watching at home, but obviously I won't be there, but I would super help you run like a fantasy league thing or whatever. Like, that would be super cool. I'd love to do that. Because that's some of the stuff I'd like to sort out. But lists are, like, results are going to go up on Pun Pun. Get me to the Pun Pun. Lists are going to go up on the Honest Wargamer website. Sorry, the TSN website, which we have criminally underutilized. I got shown its utility the other day. I had no idea, Dan. Like, it does shit like this. I'm like an ape getting into a rocket. I'm just like.
You're like, so this, I click this and it goes to here, and you're like, sick, and like, you know, that's not all that the website can do, and you're like, websites can do more.
What? So that's pretty exciting. And then and I think that they might all be posted on BCP. So either way, and then all of our socials, so TSN and all those other things. So those are ways you can track the scores already. So that's some post-production stuff. So hopefully that gives you some insight, which I think we got asked about. I don't know where we were. I thought we were in the pre-production stage of the convo, not what we're going to do. But yeah, so you're going to. But I agree with you, Dan. Like, I think that the more we can engage people at home, the better it is for the community. Because I do think it's a really healthy thing for the community.
Yeah, I love a good like footy tipping competition, and like, you know, when there's like, you know, world rugby competitions, like that's what I'm about. So I was like, gosh, I wonder if we could do one for Worlds. I've never really put one together like a one that wasn't based off of like a website or something that links to a sport. But if that's something that people are interested in, or anyone has any ideas, reach out on Twitter and we'll see if we can. I'd be keen to even just put the pairings up so everyone can choose, and then we see who can pick through the best for the whole 6 games.
Yeah, I mean, there's a plan. We'll talk about again the stream as we get towards it. For me, pre-production has been reading all a billion lists. Boo.
Yeah,
boo.
that's I'm working through a few of them a night.
Well, I thought you and me could maybe next Monday we could talk. You and me could do the meta. Like,
sure.
We could try and prep everyone. That's what we could do next Monday. We could try to prep everyone on like the meta. So we could be like, look, we know what the lists are. Let's talk about how they'll work, and then we'll talk about the battle plans, and then maybe make it a bit of a longer show and try and kind of prep the audience for what will be like. It won't be possible to deliver all of that information ahead of time, or even in the moment. But so I thought we could do that next week. Then obviously I've done pairings. There is a video up on the T Sports Network about kind of the overall meta review if you want to go watch it. Pairings was fun. I think people found that generally fun. I think.
Yeah. I reckon like the thing I'm interested in as well in that regard is like, okay, so let's like elephant in the room, obviously just about everyone's taking KO because KO are in a obscenely strong place at the moment. Without any balance to them, they're in a fantastically strong place. However, even though most people are taking them, there are some inside of those lists, there are some slight variations where clearly, even though it's like this is the thing they do well, they've planned that list to deal with certain subsects of other elements of the meta they were anticipating. So it's not just like everyone is cookie cutter, bang, 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 bang. And yes, like they are to an extent, but clearly every country has a plan for where they fall in their team. And I think that's really awesome. Like I think it's not just everyone's got KO, how boring, or everyone's got Realm Lords, or everyone's got Zinch, how boring. It's about what they're expecting them to do and how they're going to be trying to pair them. And I think that's really going to be interesting when it comes around.
I think that's also actually impossible for us personally to work out, mainly because it's also impossible for most of the teams to work out, like losers. Like this is also why they're like every team captain's like, yeah, I'm going to do the pairings, I'm going to smash it. And then you interview them after, they're like, I did great at the pairings. And then you get the results in, and they're like, yeah, maybe the pairings weren't right. And I'm like, what is happening? Yeah, what is?
It's great. It's like, how are we feeling? Feeling confident. How do you think the pairings went? Feeling confident. You guys lost. How do you think you went? Feeling confident. You're feeling confident about the loss? Yeah, confident that the pairings were fucked.
Yeah. Confident that we've really fucked it up. Anyway, so
pre-production's still going in. We got that. We'll do some prediction videos. Yeah.
So then my side, let you know. So then also I did a bunch of interviews yesterday, which if you don't want to watch 2 8-hour streams of Unhinged Rob in between actual interviews, then they'll all be up this week on the T Sports Network. As a little spice, we also have all of the streamed games from last year, which I don't think I ever actually posted in post, which is funny. So those the streams of the event will be going up also this week as well. So if you want to get an absolute deluge of like captain's interviews and world's review stuff from last year and this year, that'll all be going up this week on the T Sports Network. So you can go check all that out, which is a lot. And then I've got like the tech to sort, Dan.
I was about to say, I'm like, what do you do, Dan? I'm like, I rock up and I just spout bullshit, but you are responsible for the machine that goes ping.
Well, so like so I don't think we're doing anything like startlingly different to last year, which is a bit of a shame. Like, I would like to, with 2-week window and understanding the volume of work it would require, I would really love to set up graphics for everything that we're going to see. For example, I mean, not the lists, because I would never make anyone and myself make 192 graphics for lists. But like, I would like to put up like common like unit cards and those other things. And that as a deck of graphics to make, you're talking in the hundreds at least.
Mhm.
So I would like to add that because I think that that would add not a winner chicken dinner graphic.
What do you mean? It's Fortnite. We're doing a Fortnite.
Yeah, we're doing a Fortnite in Warhammer. Makes no sense. So yeah, I would like that because I think that that would be a good resource for people at home. So I'll put that on the list, but that probably won't make it. But maybe, I don't know. Depends if anyone pulls out their finger. Like maybe Scrivo's like, yeah, I've got 2 days for some fucking reason, and I can help.
I think that's the thing is a lot of those things. It's like it would be super rad to have. Like you would love to have it, but it's a big amount of. It's not hard work. It's just time consuming to do it all as one person,
It is.
and
It is.
that's the thing.
It is like but also work you have to do beforehand, right? Like you really want to like press a button and it brings up like the attack profile for squigs. I mean, if we were being really fucking serious about it, you would also bring up like your average damage stat table.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You'd be like, look,
Yeah.
there's 32 squigs. This is roughly their output. Like they're going into a 2-up save, they're going into a 5-up save. Like that's again a prodigious amount of stuff that maybe I'll get to, but but that I would like that because I think that would add a lot to the production. Me personally,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but we'll see. But as it is, we'll be doing 8 tables of coverage. There'll be a top-down camera for every table. There will be a roaming camera across those 8 tables as well. Then obviously we've got us as comms. We probably will be taking the PTZs because Ziggy will be there. And therefore, if we can get the PTZs working super well, then which are the pan-tilt zoom cameras. So effectively, they're like robot cameras that someone can control. Then that will give us a little bit more dynamism as well to the production, which Dan will be able to talk about more.
Love me some angles.
Yeah, but the thing is we don't have a control. Like I don't know, it's a lot. Like yes. Anyway, top-down camera from every table. I'll probably skip the dice camera on every table, mainly because it especially at something like Worlds, I very much doubt that they'll roll into the dice camera, into the dice tray.
Yeah, truly, I personally hate a dice tray.
Yeah.
Like a dice camera. I don't like them at events. Like the only thing that they're ever really, really big for is say if someone's looking for that 1 12-inch charge or that one like that important priority roll. But I don't want a camera that's just about rolling dice. Like if I like the dice roll is telling me what's happening in the game. I'd rather hear about what's happening in the game. Like if there's a big roll for it, yeah, just roll it in the middle of the table. Let me see it. But I don't need a specific camera set on the dice. Just I don't think it's needed because 9 times out of 10, what happens in a dice cam as well is the dice end up like it gets bumped and it's no longer focused. The dice ends up in the corner and you can't see what it is. And you're like, what's the purpose of this camera?
I'm going back though, like 4 years and listening to people scream at me about dice cameras. Even when I worked at Games Workshop, people are like, where's a dice camera? And I'm like, do you know what they're rolling for? Now we weren't able to raise enough money to get audio equipment for each table, as in to mic the players up. That would be my personal benchmark, not benchmark, but that would be the thing that I would like to do.
Next goal.
That would be the next goal. So unfortunately, maybe that's like a next year goal. But I would love to mic up, when we do a match, it'll be the 8 players. I would love to mic up each one of those players, so it's 16 people you mic up. And then because of the way we build the system, you can record each one of those games individually. Because I did the math on it. You would end up with 88 recorded games from the weekend, which is fucking nuts, right? That would be, but it would be awesome. And also, there's so much good content there. You could be and also for the players, I also feel that's some let's say you had Australia on and they played against Norway, and one of the Australian guys in Norway games were like, that's the best game of Warhammer I've ever had in my life, and I'm like, well, guess what? I also recorded it, and you can take that away with you, just like, fuck off with that
Yeah.
forever. That would be awesome. So that's
Fuck off with that. It's just an Australian and a Norwegian holding hands, and then at the end they're holding like a recorded
a
screen of their
USB
game,
stick. Yeah.
skipping off into the meadows surrounded by flowers. You're like, and there goes the most beautiful Wardolly moment you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think also for a lot of people, I know people love to watch back their moments, but I think a lot of people would love to hear that play on the table. Like as someone who has played against a number of the wonderful Canadians and Australians, not that people around the rest of the world aren't wonderful. I just haven't played them, and they're just not as wonderful. But having played a bunch of them, I would love to listen to those games back, because I truly, it'd be awesome to be able to just be like, because in the moment we were having so much fun, and listen back and be like, God, we spoke a lot of shit. Like,
Yeah.
God, like that was the bullshit that came out of our mouths.
So, because
yeah,
my clever little idea was, if you're super interested, is that the way we work is each table has its own little computer, right? And then what they do is they're all plugged in and networked into the main machine. But I absolutely love the idea of, like, 'cause what you could do is you could also set up that machine to be on Discord. And then you could have You could have 8 public Discord rooms where you can join the audio, but you would set it up so that it's muted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like
people could join it and listen to the table they want to listen to.
Exactly, right?
Wicked.
Like I don't think you'd be able to. You definitely wouldn't be able to also add the video, which would be rubbish. But that would be. That would be super, super fun, in my personal opinion. But anyway, that's probably not going to happen. So what we will have is 8 top-down cameras, a roaming camera, some commentators, and then thankfully all of the overlays and all of that data and information, which is genuinely very useful. And then the website. So I think that's a pretty good offering.
It's actually, it's the thing. I know, like, you and I both have said it a lot. The thing that people don't appreciate, and I always find it interesting, because you kind of created the way it works, and it's right, it's the correct way, is the need and the importance of a table boss cannot be over exaggerated.
Oh, yeah.
Like the amount of times you see streams and some big corporate streams as well, where they clearly don't have a table boss, and you're like, so you've just got 2 people on headphones looking at the way things are going and guessing. Like I think the skills of a table boss get, like, feeding information, knowing what's important, getting what they want without impacting the game. Table bosses are just like they're the people.
Yeah. So if people aren't aware, what happens is 2 people, although we've got like 2 or 3 this time around, which is quite nice, feed information to the commentators, and they tell you what's happening on the tables, basically. And while they're doing that, they're also updating the overlays, so you can see what's happening through the overlays as well, which is very fun. So that's what a table boss does. So they basically go through the games, they see what's happening on those games or at those games, and then they update that information to the commentators, but they also update digitally the overlays, which are part of, like, the website, and that's how it works. So that's their job, which is rough. You have to listen to 2 commentators for 3 or 4 hours while also trying to track what's happening in 4 games.
But the other thing as well is, for the commentators, you've got this feed in your ear coming. Like, what people don't realize is, like, when commentators are giving you the hot stuff off the table, usually what's happening is it's coming in one ear. So try telling a story to someone with a 2-second delay while someone is giving you the information of that story just ahead. It's like this weird thing. Like, your brain is like, I'm trying to take the information in and give the information at the same time. It's an incredible skill. It's spectacular.
Yeah. So that's kind of the tech. So pre-production, I have to sort out the tech stuff. I have to make sure it all works. I have to make sure it all gets packaged safely. I reckon it's about 2 whole days of work, maybe more, just that process of setting everything up, because obviously we have to land, plug it all in, and then go. So pretty quick turnaround for that. So that's the tech bit that I've got to sort, which is fine. And then we just got to do storylines from that point on, Dan. It's all about storylines. So
That's
like
my favorite part. I
yeah,
love finding a good hero and a villain. For me, the heroes are anyone taking Soul Blight. Just anyone taking Soul Blight and Cruel Boys, absolute heroes.
or idiots. Come on, yeah.
How dare you, sir? How do you what? As if the English don't love an underdog. Oh no, that's right. You guys took over the majority of the world. You don't know what being an underdog is anything like. So underdogs are when you root for like Scotland, in like war.
Yeah. Okay. So what are the storylines for Worlds? So like, let's talk about the storylines for Worlds, right? So the most popular. We can start with the teams. We have 2 new attendees at the event. We have Greece, and we have team. I'm not biased, but one of my favorites, Serbia. Let's go. Attending. So they're the newbies. So we got to track how the newbies are doing over the course of the week.
We also have, and maybe this is me not being as engaged with the country's history, we have the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland competing separately. Which I think, for me, I'm like, ooh, I'm keen to see how that plays out too.
Well, so yeah, good shout. The important part is, Northern Ireland are also returning. They have previously attended, but they're returning. They're an incredibly tight-knit community. Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland are just all mates. They're just mates, really.
But the thing is, though, the best thing when mates like that play, it's like Australia, right? You better believe that when it's Australian players overseas, and it's like, say that there's a Queenslander, a New South Welshman, and a South Australian or something all over at the LVO, Australia as a community rallies behind them with a fury. Now, as soon as you're at like a country level tournament and you've got New South Wales, Queensland teams competing, the absolute filth and competitiveness, because everyone wants to be Australian when it's Australia competing, but as soon as it's like you're competing against your fellow countrymen, there is no better rivalry, and that's what I'm hoping to see. I hope that we get to see Ireland versus Republic of Ireland versus Northern Ireland, and I would love to see that like that. Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay, yeah, so matchups that would be quite interesting. I mean, that's probably something we should track as well. We should probably make a matrix. We get our own matrix, yay! Right? We should make a matrix of the different teams and their feelings towards each other, and maybe we should probably create a deck of whether or not they've played previously as well.
Oh yeah, good idea.
And then also what their matchup score is. Oh, Dan, this is definitely a thing.
This is a thing, yeah.
This is a thing. Like, we should do a matrix for how many times those teams have played each other and if they've ever played each other before, when and what the result was, and then also if it's just like, if there's a several 100-year religious war that we somehow get to reference while it's happening, which we shouldn't.
For sure.
Yeah, we shouldn't. Like,
which we shouldn't. However, the best way to come together as a people is to recognize we're all just a bunch of idiots and laugh at ourselves.
I agree.
Except obviously for Australia and Canada, very serious and the best teams. So we can laugh at everyone else except for those two.
Yeah, so the NA battle will be really fun as well. So we should definitely do that. That's definitely something we should do. Yeah. I think we should also work with Ziggy and Rob, and then also pick out some star players. Now, I don't know if that's unfair to some of the other players, because some players just have a little bit more media presence. Yep. Because, again, of self-promotion versus everything else. Like, someone in the chat was just like, I'm just going to get, I just want to buy drinks for the solo Seraphon player. I'm like, he's currently the best and the most successful performing player in the world. He's one of the most consistently performing players in the whole of Age of Sigmar ever. Like,
so buy him drinks. Let's bring him down. Like, that's the way you get him. You can't beat him on the table. You need to beat him at the pub.
But I want to get I kind of want to get like a maybe a ticker or a page on a website. I don't know. I want to keep track of how our Seraphon guy is doing. I obviously want to keep track of how our two Cruel Boys players are doing. Then they're definitely. I feel like this. Like, do you think there should be team star players that we keep referencing? Like, I want to know how Ronya's doing again every year. Obviously.
Yeah, I personally, and this is entirely a personal one because I've played him and it was one of the best games I've ever played. I've said it a million times. Dave Kerr, who's the 3-time Australian master now. I want to. I'll be tracking his games. I'll be watching his games with great interest. Not that the rest of Australia aren't beautiful, spectacular people. Even our little Mel Gibson, New Zealand, when he's a bastard Australian, when he's a local tag along. It's just for the information there. Rob and a number of people have maybe given me a hard time because despite my let's say slight leaning away from Team New Zealand, who aren't coming, by the way, there is possibly, who even knows, a Kiwi player on the Australian team. However, I just want to remind everyone, it is Team Australia. So as long as that player is winning, they are from Australia. As soon as they start to lose games, they are from New Zealand. And that is a really important distinction that we can't forget. I just really want to make that clear. It's like Mel Gibson, when he was good and he was a great actor, he was Australian. Once he became like kind of a bastard, we just want to be clear that he is from New Zealand. He's not. He might have been Australian, but he is from New Zealand. So we'd like that to be what people remember.
I think tracking those star players would be engaging, but I think maybe it would mean that we would maybe miss out on what some of the other people were doing. I'm not sure. I feel like that we need to keep track of, like, there need to be a couple of ongoing storylines, right? Like thread through the week. Which I think I don't know who it would be though. I don't know. Like, I feel like we would have to break it down, and then it gets a little bit murky. Like, obviously, Team England, Team USA, Team Wales, all have like some very like popular and well-known people. So it's a bit of a challenge. I'm not sure if we should do the star player thing. Maybe we could track best in factions. So that's going to be the one as well. I personally would like to know how the factions are doing over the weekend. So most popular faction is Gits. I would like to know how their matchups are going. KO. Oh, so it's Gits, then it's Zinch, then it's KO and LRL. Last year, don't forget, we had that kind of historic moment where there was only one KO player, but he went 6-0. We only had one Nighthawk player, and she went 6-0. We kept track of our cheeky little Slanesh player. Old Book did not do well.
No, shocker. Just out of curiosity, how many Bliss Barb Archers were in that list?
The old book, the old one.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't even remember what it was. If I'm honest,
probably none, because they were hot shit in the old book. And then someone went, "Hey, you know what Slanesh should be all about?" And they're like, "What? Shooting. Let's make Slanesh a shooting army." That's what the event needs.
Yeah, that's what I like. They always say out of phase move sequencing for the Blood God. That's what they've always said. That's that's what Khorne is famous for. Out of phase movement for the Blood God. That's what they scream.
Move.
Yeah. That's what they. I'm gonna get that T-shirt made. Yeah.
It's no. You know what it is? It's a bunch of what the T-shirt has to be is like a Blood Warrior or a Blood Reaver looking at their Apple Watch, trying to close their rings, being like, "Steps for the Step God. I have to hit 10,000." Like, that's what they do. They're like, "I got to get my cardio in for today."
Yeah. So us as a commentary team, we've got to. I think we've got to work out who's played who when they've played each other. I think getting a database on all the players would be, unless we were to get the teams to fill them in, would be rough. Like getting as you can see, we have Johnny playing, and Johnny loves long walks in the moonlight.
We get what we do is we get an eHarmony like dating profile for each player, and we give it to them. And like, do
you think that's a big ask though? Just asking the team captains to just give us a few sentences on their
I don't
players.
think so. Especially if we could prep it. A lot of the captains, like you said, like not every country has a playing captain. For instance, for a lot of countries, if their captain isn't playing, or their coach their coach isn't playing, potentially that's something their coach could collect while the captains and the teams are getting ready for games and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's something we could do. I think that would at least be fun because it would give more context to the game that we're going to see, right? Do you think?
I think so. But that's the thing. For me, I love hearing about players. I love hearing about like the stories and the games and the background. Like that's what makes me excited as much as the game on the tabletop.
Yeah, I don't like mechanically. I'll be interested in the games, but I think if like we get a match between insert army team A, team B, whichever,
Hmm.
and I don't happen to know much about them, I feel like I'm doing them a disservice. So I feel like
Hmm.
that's like I think maybe I'm as interested in who represents their country as I am even about the
Yeah,
game that's happening on the table. That would be.
absolutely.
I think that's something that should be super important to add in. I think
Yeah.
we'll try.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if we can negotiate with Tom Meggins and to just bully the team captains into doing that. And
It
any
wouldn't
team
need to
captains that don't, just don't go on stream.
yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. It wouldn't need to be much. It'd literally just be like, hey, each player, what are the two armies they like playing the most? Because it'd be interesting to see, because I know that some players are very familiar with their armies, but it's not the armies that they would choose. Like if they were going to a solos event, um, like they might be they might be a KO stand, but they're playing a different army because somebody else is their KO player. So they're maybe like that would be interesting to me, is knowing what their favorite army is to play, and then just a couple of facts about them. Thingy has one of his eyes replaced with digital dice rolling software. Great, sick. That sounds high tech. It's probably something from Musk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn Musk, right?
Yeah.
Damn him. Damn him. Damn him and his 8,000 babies. Do you know that they're trying to breed? Like, have you heard about the ultra
War
rich
Dolly
breeding
players.
program?
No, we're not supposed to let Warhammer players breed. You
Well,
know
that's
that.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get more powerful the more they have.
Yeah, that's it.
Um,
If you have like Warhammer playing parents, the child that comes out comes out in a jersey for their country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to know about the players. We want to know about the teams in more detail. This is work I didn't do last year, and I probably let the team down a little bit there, so I apologise. This has been a good chat. Like I'm learning a lot, so thank you. So more about the players, more about the teams. Would be really good prefix into the game. We'll cover the games and we'll know the stats and details on that. The other thing is that we're only going to cover because it's 6 rounds and we'll only cover a match a round, which is already a pretty prodigious effort. But that means we're going to miss out on a ton. Have you got any thoughts about? Has anyone got any thoughts on the best way to like cover all the people in field? Because like having a Roman reporter was great last year, and Luke did an amazing job. But I think it's a little bit of a challenging one. Like I don't know, what do you think?
It's so also, just in case for those who didn't know, it's only 2 games a day as well. It's 2 games a day for 3 days, so that players have nice big rounds. The other thing that would be, rather than just doing a roving reporter, would be potentially to set up an interview spot that's not the desk, where it's like, say a team finishes, we could get that team to go there and do an interview with the roving reporter, rather than the roving reporter having to hunt through the event for them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think. Yeah. You would want like a reporting station. I think.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
Versus.
say your team finishes, and we're like, do you mind coming and telling us about the game? And then they just pop up there, towards the end of the hall, jump up, be like, hey, tell us about your game.
Interesting. A stationary reporter that other people come up to. Okay. All right. I'll see if I can mix that into the product mix. Because that's going to be a toughie.
Well, it'd be. I think the thing is, it would be easier to have a camera or whatnot set in a place that we can then take people to, rather than trying to take camera, microphone.
Dan, we ain't going
people.
nowhere. We're going to be rooted to a chair for 9 hours a day.
Oh no, hey, you and me. I know. My ass is going to fuse with that chair. Like, what's that? Glutos. By the end of this event, I'm gonna be Glutos McGluty.
What did I do? Once I took a picture of just a conference chair. We've all been to conferences. We've all been, and I took a picture of it. I was like, I just like solo in like the backdrop of a big hotel, just on its own. I was like, can't wait to ruin my back on this bad boy for the next.
So this brings us to another then question, and I'll throw this out to the chat as well. what exercises should we be doing to prepare? Obviously, squats and hip thrusts, because we need to prepare our glutes and hamstrings for the danger of sitting for so long. But what do players need to do, Rob? Like, okay, leaning over a table, hurting your back.
Oh,
Obviously, they've got to be doing that. They've got to warm up their voices because they're going to be talking for so many hours a day.
I don't know actually. I think the killer one, the sensible one, is to always bring painkillers and water. Like, there's literally
Mhm.
nothing that can't be defeated with those two things. Everything else, I think that's on their trolley dollies. Which again, if
Oh,
people,
did you mean painkillers for themselves?
yes, yes.
Right. Okay. So I thought you were talking about like if you dope up your opponent on morphine, you've probably got an easy win. And I was like, that sounds like something that like an American would do.
We should never even get into performance enhancing drugs, like
Oh,
because I mean, Ritalin or like anything that helps you focus the mind because you have ADD issues is a performance enhancing drug. But we don't
or
need to
just
talk.
people that hit that caffeine level that the world slows down around them, so they can just like watch dice roll like in 80 frames per second, just like. They're like.
Never sitting down for days at a time does really help. Right, so we've got the storylines, I think.
Mhm.
The storyline of the event. In case people don't know, obviously the current champions are England. Last year, the Republic of Ireland came dead last.
Yeah.
And they have a clarion call this year of anything but last.
Yeah.
Is what they're working towards. Have you got
Which
any
is
hopes for
great.
them? Have you got any hopes for them, Dan?
Oh, look, I would love, I would love just to see that go to. I have to say this because I'm trying to become a Canadian citizen. I want to see it go to the US. I want to see them hand off that wooden spoon to the US. Uh, Please, America, don't hunt me for sport. I'm just trying to get citizenship, and there's a box where you have to submit all of the negative things you've said about the US to for them to give it to you.
Okay, so Dan, the real question
Hmm.
is so like to wrap it up because I think that's everything to do with like the production that we've got upcoming, right?
Hmm. Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
and all of the thoughts, the current storylines, the things that we can add in, and if you do have any other thoughts, then do drop them in the YouTube comments or drop them in,
Hmm.
just drop them anywhere we can. That would be great. Uh, who is your money on? Who do you think are the dark horses? Because there's a really fun. There's just a bit of a shit talk joke right now, yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's an actual like sit down with some pen and paper guesswork that you can do, and it's quite interesting. Like that you got it. Like I think the field's wide open, but I want your thoughts first before we go any further.
Mm. That's a really good one. For those who've seen that little video I put out, Sweden are definitely on my radar. However, they came third. However, they never had to play England or France last year, which that makes me wonder if they had, would they have gotten the win over them? Would they have lost? Like, so Sweden's definitely up there. Um, Poland are also on my hot to watch list.
Oh,
Um, so Sweden and Poland, but ultimately, mighty Canada are gonna podium, and Australia's gonna take it out.
wow.
That's it now because pressure makes diamonds, and Australia is one of the few teams that hasn't been able to do team training as much as other teams have, given that the geographical stretch of the country is so massive, and some of our players live on entirely different continents. Um, and so that's why I reckon Australia's got it. Now France, I think would be in. France would be in. However, as a nation, I feel like they've burnt out their competitive spirit with rioting recently. They might be too tired to actually get the win.
I'm really glad you brought that up. That's perfect. That's exactly right. I agree. I'm gonna do a quick TLDR of all the teams and
Yeah.
what I currently know about them. And
Okay.
if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
For each team gets to slap you. once in the face if you're wrong about them. If they do
Okay.
better than you say, slap to the face. If they do worse, you get to slap them.
Okay, so
How does that sound?
Australia's got some pretty innovative.
And they're in the first. Oh, they're in the. You're predicting them as first as well. That's why they're number
No,
one.
Australia have got some very innovative players in their
Mm-hmm.
roster, and they've got some incredibly potent players, and also they have a very active and also excellent community. But they do not get the opportunity to practice and train a lot in person, which I think
Mm-hmm.
would really help them overlap some relevant skills.
For sure, yeah.
And they've talked about that a lot, and obviously that's a challenge for them and the USA. So I think that while I think they're going to do better than last year, I don't think they've got like the chance. But that doesn't mean that they won't. That just means I think some of the others. Austria, bless them, sweethearts, cutie pies, zero chance. But like just nothing,
Wait. When you say zero chance,
no chance.
when you I want to confirm. Do you mean of winning a game or of winning the event?
Of winning. Like okay, in this
Because when you
instance,
say
of winning
zero
a
chance,
game.
to me that sounds like they're not actually going to arrive and play. Like you're just like Austria's got zero chance of making the field. Like
Yeah,
this isn't like Eurovision where a bunch of people get eliminated before the final.
nil point. That's what I'm giving them.
No point.
Someone's asked, do people not have TTS? Yes, and a lot of the Australian players play TTS internationally with loads of other very excellent players. I don't personally think that relates as well to the tabletop. I think it really
Yeah.
helps. I think if you're a consistent tabletopper and you also back up with TTS, but again, like if I was a coach, you got to remember I'm talking about this from like a talent scout kind of like coach benchmark. That might seem really silly, but these are international like sporting teams, so that's how I'm talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Belgium.
It's also if you're at a training camp, being able to lean across and like call people over to a table to talk about something, like you can build knowledge as a collective. I know Team England have been sharing a bed for the last 4 months so that they all are like so in sync with each other. And these are things that Australia would love to do. That's actually how we sleep in a pile and a clump of bodies for safety, so that if there's an attack, it only gets the people on the edges. But we haven't been able to clump as a team, as a nation, for transmission of like energy and knowledge.
Yeah, that also explains last year that their periods must have synced. Belgium, Belgium. I think absolutely a shot at the title, hands down. They've been consistently going to team events, either individually or as teams. One of their players made it into the shadow round at LVO. Consistently performing all of the time. And I think that they've done a lot of work. They're also surrounded by a very competitive European inner scene. France, obviously, are close by. Germany. So Belgium in for a shot. Canada, absolutely solid. I'm going to say the same thing about. I'm going to lump Canada and the USA together. Although slightly differently.
Okay, be careful. Tread carefully because you're treading on you could upset a lot of people here by combining them.
I'll say this real simple. Members of Team Canada have consistently gone down to the USA, spanked some people's asses and won some events. And similarly, USA have gone up to Canada. But no one has ever been able to go over to Europe and take a trophy off any of them. So, like,
Ooh,
but team
words.
events. Tom in the chat saying Rob not mentioning the Netherlands where the Dutch live. Him thinking that I fucking know where the hell Belgium is on a map is a shock. Yeah, because I did not. I didn't even know you were next to each other. Like this weekend when I was interviewing captains and they were like, "Yeah, we're near that country." I'm like, "Are you?" Amazing.
I know the topography of the mortal realms. I have no fucking idea what our planet looks like.
Belgium can't be real. Right, but yeah. So I think we'll come back to the USA, but I think Canada maybe has got like a very tight knit local scene, but I don't think their scene is as mature as the USA's. So I think they're going to do a good showing, but I don't think they've got a shot, especially because obviously Lip Filler Carl is in the team. Czech Republic, super focused. I think they're going to be very good. I think that unfortunately their community is slightly too small, and so they're going to be a little bit pressurized.
Less to draw from, yeah.
Yeah, less to draw from. So I think they're going to do well, but I think that's their struggle. So I don't think there's necessarily a shot. Denmark, definitely a shot at the title. I think that's but they're also one of those teams that not a lot of information comes out from Denmark.
Yeah, yeah, they're a
So
bit of an unknown quantity.
exactly. So like you don't really get all the info about what's happening there. So that's tougher. England definitely 100%. They're the team to beat.
Yeah.
I think they're the team to beat, and I think even more so, we've seen them do in training practices. They have had access to all of the rules as far as ahead as you can get them. They've been able to put that team together. They've got probably the best pairings person in Tom in the world. So absolutely the team to beat.
They also, let's just remember, as players, there's an event, an available event just about every weekend in England. Like if you live in England, and I know that some people might say, "Oh, you got to drive for a couple of hours." If you wanted to play a tournament every weekend, you could. So for the opportunity to play competitively is much higher. Where, say, if you live in a lot of these other countries, you at best maybe have the opportunity to play once every month, like a tournament once every month, and with big travel times to get there. So England, I think, just has opportunity and experience as an advantage too.
Agreed. France, definitely in for a shot at the
Yeah.
title. They spent the 6 months of their gaming season is literally spent doing team events. They last year learned a lot of lessons that they hadn't got enough in international experience. They've started going over to different events. You've seen them in the Netherlands, you've seen them in England, you've seen them in Germany. So they've been traveling around to play as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So that's
They're,
huge.
they're absolutely. France is definitely a team that I'm like they're going to be competing for the podium. The only question is where,
Yeah,
which medal they end up with.
exactly. I did skip Finland. I apologize. Finland, absolutely bunch of legends. High five to all of them. You're gonna have a great time. Germany, Germany. Again, I think that they're. I spoke to the German captain, and I think they've been putting in the practice and doing a lot of hard work. But again, they're quite. Germany's a pretty big country. It's not US or Australia size, but it's a big country. They have a little bit of decentralized group, and also it's not very common in the German scene for there to be 2-day events. There's normally just 1-day events. That's changed. Things like Raccoon Rumbles and other stuff. Yeah,
but they might not have the not have the endurance to go 3 days.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Or 5 days if they're playing in the singles. We haven't even touched on the singles.
Yeah, exactly. So Marcus Rock said, yeah, the players in the French team really put in the work, but there's a lot of pressure with 2 of their players having left somewhat vocally to play for Belgium. Like the pressure of how much they're practicing has made some people leave. So there we go.
Yeah.
So Germany, I think, is a growing community and scene. It doesn't mean that they aren't good. It means that they don't have very much like I talked with Canada. They just they just need a few more years, and they're a big contender. I think they're a contender now, but they're a big contender in a few years. Is my point.
And let's just remember that history has taught us that Germany is very good when they set their minds to combat. So you never know. They could absolutely surprise us and start, inventing things we weren't expecting. That reliable German engineering.
Agreed. I honestly think that a lot. So some TLDRs from my captain's interviews this weekend. Every single team was like, last year we thought we could just turn up. This year we've done 800 practice games.
Yeah.
You're
That's
okay.
genuinely why I will be interested to see how it goes against England. Because last year, England and France really were the 2 teams that had.
I think
the
Wales were a
biggest-
contender last year.
Wales
Not
too,
this year.
and Sweden, like teams that had a big number, like a lot of practice and a lot of experience under their belts. And you had a lot of teams that, while they weren't competing for the first time, it was the first time they were kind of coming and going for it. And they walked away going, we want this next year. We're happy to put in the effort. We really want this. So I think we're going to have a really competitive field.
Oh yeah, yes, we are absolutely. The difference speaking to these teams is phenomenal. A lot of these teams, I haven't talked about them yet, but Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Norway have been all into traveling between each other to play team events, tournaments. France as well. So the maturity of the community is significantly increased. as well. So that's like I don't mean. I'd like you to be clear. I've done none of this fucking work myself. I'm speaking as a commentator, so I recognize that when I say like if you're in one of these countries and you think I'm not giving you a fair shot, I apologize, right? This is just an off the bat. And I think all of the work that you're seeing from all these communities is phenomenal. This is the other TLDR from the weekend. Every community is like, my community is exploding. Loads of new people, massive events. You've seen Australia go from like you literally didn't hear about anything to multiple 2-day events, loads of stuff. Like you've really started to hear a lot from the community. So yeah, really good. The event is in the Netherlands. So Germany definitely in with a shot, but the German captain said that their goal was to at least, because they're playing France first. France first. They're playing France first. The German captain said their goal is to just crush France's chance of getting a 120 so that they can't win the event. So like, and Ireland said the same thing about Australia, Dan. Like you got a bunch...
but
go on.
Yep. Oh, I was just going to say that's really nice for them. That's so nice for them. I'm excited for them to dream.
Yeah, like I guess the this is the other thing as well. Like you got to remember, like the way the scoring has changed slightly differently as well. So a lot of the teams, like Ireland, they're playing the USA. USA definitely hot to win this year. But Ireland are like Ireland don't think that they can win the event. Their goal is not last. But what they want to do is crush any people they play's chance of winning, which is a respectable goal, right? Like that's a dangerous foe.
Oh, absolutely! Like they're a cornered animal that just wants to take you down with them. I'm excited to see some. Like I hope we see some pairings of like say like Czech Republic and Netherlands, or Germany and Belgium, where they're competing for who gets to keep the flag colors. Like that to me would be interesting. If we had Ivory Coast, Ireland playing the Ivory Coast would be fantastic too. Just be like, who gets the flag? Don't know. Netherlands and Serbia. Let's do that. Serbia basically just put a badge on theirs and went, yeah, it's different enough.
The Greek community is really small. They have an incredibly intense player base. Several of them just travelled over to England to play at Warhammer Fest. They are smart and motivated and passionate, but a smaller community and also not a particularly big scene there. So I think they're going to come and have a good time and also try super hard. Ireland, not last. That's all we got to do with Ireland. Good luck. They've changed their team around massively this year. That's great. So that's super keen on that. Italy have a lot of in-house events, and like they just had a team event this weekend. Like, they did too. Yeah. They had a big team event this weekend, teams of 5. So like, but you never hear tons from Italy.
Is it the pasta curtain? Is that it? Like Italy's operating from behind a carby curtain of secrecy, and so we don't like their teams might come out. It's like instead of the iron curtain, they've got the I don't know, the spaghetti curtain.
My biggest issue is an ignorant one in that I can never remember their fucking names. Like, so, I'm like I don't know which one's good because I can never remember.
Well, I speak a bit of Italian, so I'll figure it out for you. I'll help you out.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Well, thank you. That'll really help me out. So Italy is my only question mark. They have a lot of events. They have a lot of players. They play a lot. I'm not sure. Netherlands, host nation, where the Dutch live, in with a shot. They've got a solid team. They've been practicing lots. They've got the advantage of the judges. They're going to call all the things in their favour.
That's what I've heard. That's what I heard. Very, very confirmed. Like that's 100%. Also, let's remember that to the home nation, they're not tourists. So to them, they're just here for the games. Whereas for a lot of other nations, they might be going out on the eve. They almost let's rephrase. Most nations will be going out on the evenings. They're going to be exploring. They're going to be overwhelmed by the newness of everything and wanting to try stuff out. Whereas to them, they'll be eye on the prize, super focused. So that might help them out too.
Yeah, they've got a solid team. They've got a good community as well. They have loads of local events. Alliance Open crew run a lot of events. So I'm not 100% certain they've got the team right now to take out the whole event. But I think that there's the shot. Northern Ireland, they've got a solid team. They have got a solid team. They play a lot. They travel to England a lot. There's some really big players in their team as well. I think that they've got a shot at least at like a podium. Or crushing some dreams, I think, is quite interesting.
Gosh, I want to see a Northern Ireland versus Ireland matchup. God, I really want to see it.
Norway. Listen, they were just like last year they played, and then in between then and now, their gaming club like tripled, and then and anyone that used to play War Machine Horde now plays Age of Sigmar in their gaming club.
Oh God! So they got the Warmer Hoarders, which means that they just brought hopefully what happened is they brought all those toxic competitive people, smoothed out the edges, were like, hey, stop being a fuck. And they went, yeah, okay, I'll stop being a fuck. And then they made them into fantastic Warhammer players.
I reckon there's a shot with Norway. They've got some great players. Yeah. I think Norway...
Okay, top 10, top 5, or podium for Norway?
Oh, easy top 10. Top 5, yes, as well. And in with a shot. Like, I think if anyone gets drawn into Norway, they're against it pressure-wise. Again, I think last year, a lot of these teams turned up. And then I think a lot of them walked away from last year and were like, we are going to prep. And I think that one of the big advantages that some of the other teams had was that they'd done a lot of prep. And I think that now that gap has closed. Has it closed enough? I don't know. I might just be sat at the end of the event with one team on 6 120s, just being like, didn't prep enough, babies. But I think that'll only going to put fire in everyone, not sure. Poland, your pick. They have a lot of team events in their local community. They have a pretty solid roster, but that roster changed significantly at the last minute. So that's a bit of pressure. So I think that maybe that cohesion might be lacking and might be a bit of a problem.
They got a 5th place finish last tournament. They didn't have an easy run of it. So they're a dark horse. I think they'll do well. I reckon top 10 for them, definitely. Top 5 maybe. And they're a chance at the podium.
Yeah, I think so. No, I don't think so. Sorry, Dan.
You don't reckon?
No. I think that they've got some really talented players, and they've got a really talented pool and community. I think that I think it was quite clear speaking to, unless Peter was just selling me a line. Thanks, JJ. Thanks for resubbing. I think that they had like a few too many last minute change arounds.
Yeah, true.
Which and they did talk about the difficulty in producing some of those armies as well ahead of time. Scotland, I got nothing but love for Scotland. I got a lot of high hopes for Scotland. I'm hoping for mid-table for Scotland. They host a load of local events. They've got a solid community. They have, I don't know if you know this, they have an AI pairings bot.
No. Okay, wait, is it a real robot, or is it just going to be a dude dressed up in a bunch of boxes covered in alfoil? Like, what? Like, is it actually? They're just like, here's our pairings bot. It's like, I am pair. No, he's a Scottish. Like, I'm pairings bot, and like, and just sits there, and then like, they're like, that's not a robot. They're like, it is. Look, see, he's covered in wires and metal.
I didn't know you were going that way. I just wanted it to be a robot, but now I'm more excited about it being a human in cardboard boxes.
You better believe it. That's what I want. I want them to have said that and to like really sell it. And even if all that happens is on the inside of it, there's just a person hidden in like a big refrigerator box with their phone, like punching in the thing and like getting an AI to actually predict it. I'm fine with that, but I really, really want there to be someone in a massive refrigerator box covered in alfoil pretending to be a robot.
Yeah, so Parents Bot is pretty funny. I quite like Parents Bot. And apparently, Parents Bot actually usurped, because previously the AI run by JP Gannis used to be called Listbot. Listbot didn't do very well at an event, and so Listbot got murdered. And then son of Listbot, Pairingsbot, now exists. Kiltbot, yeah. So my real question is whether or not Pairingsbot. Let's assume Pairingsbot is flawless and perfect in every way. Do Scotland have the power behind Pairingsbot to do the work?
Well, I actually think that Pairingsbot, whether it's a person in a refrigerator box, which I hope, or whether it's just an actual bot on a phone, Pairingsbot might be able to do it. But unfortunately, in a game like this, it's not just about the pairing; it's about the play on the table. So I don't know if they'll be able to rely on that. They had a rough run last time, but yeah, they could pull it off. I reckon top 10 for them is doable. I wouldn't guarantee it though. Then again, this bot and their players might prove me wrong.
Agreed. Agreed. Okay, so Serbia, new starters at the event. We saw them playing Denmark. They
Yep.
did not Denmark, the Netherlands. Apologies. We saw them play in the Netherlands previously last year. Super motivated team. A smaller player base, unfortunately for them though, and so difficult to get like all those reps in. That doesn't mean though they haven't done the work, and they're very
No.
motivated. So I
Yeah,
think.
and also it's awesome for, like you say, like they might have a small crowd to draw from compared to a lot of the other countries that have been coming for a while. But this is how you build it, you know. Like I love seeing it.
Yeah, me too.
Serbia's here. Where's New Zealand?
Australia here, but New Zealand nowhere to be seen. Good, I like that.
Couldn't see them. The Kiwis.
Where's the Philippines? That's my question.
Coming next.
Yeah, and then so Spain have been directly paying for tutelage. They have got 50 games each with their army list for the event. They've had several team meetups, and so Spain, and they've been hosting multiple team tournaments in their community. So pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Spain,
And
I think, a dark
and
horse.
and let's remember, they've been going hard on social media.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that's like a cloud, right? Like that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing.
that's
Like, just move that aside.
yeah.
Like the actual prep work from Spain has been prodigious.
That's what I'm saying though. I'm like, they've been going hard on social media, which I think is another strategy. Like
Oh,
I
you
think
think?
I think they've been putting the work in, and then they're like, let's fucking pull out this smoke bomb and throw it out there so that people are like, oh, fun Spain. And I'm not saying that they're not fun Spain. Like they gave us my favorite type of wine is a Tempranillo. Love you, Spain. Bring Tempranillo. But if you had put all this work in, right, then what are you gonna do? You don't want people know that you're coming at them with a fury. So
You want people to think you're the fun, happy go fun guys.
You put that smoke screen out there, and then when Spain comes at you like a matador, you're cooked because you go in like a bull.
That's why I've currently individually named each one of my KO Thunderers. And they're like, "Oh, what a nice guy!" Just shoot him off the board. That's the whole plan. If you always write a story for your army and explain it to your opponent before you start playing them, they always think you're an idiot, and then you've got that first turn advantage. So that's Spain.
Of them underestimating you. Yeah, gotcha.
Sweden, definitely some incredibly strong players. Good scene,
Podium
lots of
contenders
practice
for sure.
I don't know how much. I don't know how much work has been going into the team though, right? Like that's the kind of they did well last year. Were they hungry enough to then do again this year? We'll see. I think they've been keeping that one close to their chest.
Yeah, a lot of the teams that came in middle or towards the end of the pack. I mean, some of them. This is their Olympics, and they're not looking for a medal. They're just coming here to party, meet the other teams, and have 6 spectacular games, and that's absolutely is the right attitude. But there are also a number that came, missed out on the top spots or were in the middle of the pack, and they're just absolutely committed to kicking ass. Maybe Sweden doing so well last year might have taken their foot off the gas. Who knows?
Switzerland, smaller community. They do have a load of communities around them that they can travel to and play for, but I think, unfortunately, very much like some of the other stories, having that smaller pool of people to draw from gives them a mid-table aim, which I think is fine.
Too neutral.
Too neutral, exactly.
They're a nation that created the Geneva Convention. Come on.
USA, they should just be... they have a large player pool. They've got some of the most successful players in the world. They've got some of the best players in the world. Gavin and Jeremy definitely stand out from that player pool, in my personal opinion. They've got whether or not the pairings is going to be good, but we've seen them have multiple team meetups. I think one of the things that they're very focused on as a team is a long-term goal, i.e. they're not necessarily focused on this year. I think that they're focused on like they're focused on
They're focused on building the future potential of their Worlds team, not just how do we win Worlds 2023.
they have the actual LVO winner in their team. So like currently the winner of the largest Age of Sigmar event in human history. Like that's a pretty good roster. Like before you get into all of the other players that are in their team, so solid. And I think talking to Jeremy and some of the other guys, one of the things that they're working towards is developing like a very good deep wide bench, so that maybe this year their goal is to win, but their goal is in the next 5 years to dominate. Like, does that make sense? Like, I think that's a really sensible decision, is develop a good infrastructure, and then go forward.
Well, and the USA, like, I think they've got advantages in that because they're such a big country with such a huge population and a large number of people playing War Dollies. They got a lot of sub-metas as well to pull from. However, being so geographically massive, much like Australia, it's much harder to get your team together for training.
I also think USA, like Belgium, if you actually read their lists have been thought about much more than people realize. And again, I wouldn't believe Jeremy as far as I could throw him. Love him, but I wouldn't trust him. And a lot of that smokescreen is probably belying what is, in my opinion, a prodigious body of work. I think the Americans want it, and they have an incredible roster. So good luck to them. I think my money's on America, if I'm honest.
You reckon?
I think so. Like, if I had to pick, other than England, like America, I have to beat England, but that's fine. That's the final boss. But out the pack, you got to pick. I think my money's there. So,
I think they'll podium, but I can't say they'll beat Canada because I will be immediately ejected from the country. So USA, you're gonna podium, but you will not defeat the True North. Please forgive me. I just want to be a citizen.
And then you got Wales. Got a lot of love for some of the players in the Welsh team. Last year they were a genuine contender, and then this year, reading the lists and everything, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what Cruel Boys are doing in an actual professional team.
What are Cruel Boys doing in Wales? What are they? How is Wales taking Cruel Boys?
I don't know, but the decision is terrible. The roster doesn't look as strong as the roster looked last year, and I would say out of all the teams, weirdly, it's the team. And I've got a lot of friends in the Welsh team, so I say this with love. It feels like a step back, not a step forward, which is interesting. So
where did they finish last year? 6th.
I don't remember. They had the big matchup was obviously England, and that went sideways. So I think that's kind of my like TLDR, and obviously opinions can change, right? And it's just one man's opinions. I don't know all 192 players personally on a very deep level. I don't know what the work has been for each team on a macro level. So these are just my like thoughts. But I don't know. It'd be interesting. Like it's the thing to remember is all these teams have been practicing way more than last year. Last year was like beer and fun, and this year is like holy shit.
It's very quickly becoming the Olympics. Like the level of prep, like all the teams sharing photos where they're like team training session, team this session, we did this. I'm like, and then the other thing I'm loving seeing is teams sharing their individual players' experiences throughout the year. You know, like I think it was Scotland was talking about the Broken Realms GT.
Yeah,
I think that they had, and a number of their players pulled out big finishes there. And I'm like, holy crap, that's interesting. You know, like looking at the individual players' performance over the year and then coming in to see them as a team, it gets me more hyped. Because I'm just like, it's like I don't know, going to see the sport and like knowing the players behind it and being like, oh shit, he took them to this and they did really well, but he's playing this now, so I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it tickles me in just the best way.
I also want you to know that I am going to be hype to be wrong on all of these like guesses. I want like, do you know what I mean? I want like who did I say I don't know what's happening?
Wales with the Cruel Boys. Cruel Boys going 6-0.
No, not that. That's definitely correct. That's not wrong. That's not that.
Okay. Wait. How many wins do you think the Cruel Boys are going to get?
Oh, 0. They should get 0. Like,
Okay, but are you willing to bet it? Rob gets a tattoo if the Cool
no,
Boys
no,
don't win.
I'm never getting a tattoo.
You
So
heard it here
no.
first. Clip that and put it online.
But I would say like Denmark. I haven't seen enough training from them. As in, I haven't seen it, but I don't know if it's happening a lot. Like, it's so much. It's so exciting. And if I was one of the players, I'd be thrilled to come up against this and be going into this meta. I'm excited to get to go do the coverage. I'm excited to get to see what happens, and I hope everyone at home is excited as well because it's super fun. Dan, this has been great. Next Monday, you and me. I can't wait to see all of the spice videos from you. What's the next one? What's the next one that's coming out?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe we'll do someone. What do we? I feel it needs to be one of the teams that has been putting in. So I reckon maybe Spain. Maybe
Okay.
Spain.
All
Tomorrow
right,
morning,
perfect.
Spain.
Yeah, perfect. Chat, and also anyone watching this back as a podcast or as a YouTube video podcast, let me know who your top 3 teams are and why. I want to see those comments and read them. It'd be fun, especially to screen cap them and post them on Twitter. Is a particularly good reason, I think. But yeah, Dan, you're super. I'm so happy you're coming to Worlds. I think you're bringing the right energy. You're a superstar. So, and the rest of the team as well. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope everyone's enjoyed
sorry, Sophia Kittens in the chat jumped on there immediately and went first, second, and third, Finland, 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 and I love that energy. I am about that energy. That's spectacular.
3 Finlands. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed the show. If you do like the show, obviously, you can support us by joining Patreon and all those other things. That would be great. And yeah, just tune in to the rest of the shows when you can. That would be awesome. Thanks very much, and thanks for listening.